Hello, my lovely goddesses. Today we're going to talk about why you are so overwhelmed and stressed, and why no matter what you do, you just can't seem to rest and relax. You may feel constantly on edge, like you're awaiting for something bad to happen. Your body is tense, and trust me, I've been there. And the problem is your body is dysregulated. Your nervous system is in flight or fight mode. We are going to get you out of survival mode today, and you are going to unlock that precious, safe space that you need for your femininity to thrive. So I need you all to understand what survival mode is. What is that fight or flight response that you have when you're triggered or when you're overwhelmed? And that is your body's natural stress response to danger. Back in the day, like when we had our ancestors that literally had to survive in the wild, maybe in harsh conditions, when they had to protect themselves from predators like wild animals or even other communities that may try to threaten them and kill them, they had to live in this high alert type of state to prepare themselves from danger. And that fight or flight response will be either to fight the danger head on or to run away for their lives. So this has been programmed in us through generations. But the problem is now we don't have to worry about wild animals coming to attack us, or a community of people who's going to kill us all in our sleep or something like that. Like, we don't have to worry about those type of things, but our body is still used to feeling like we're on constant alert. So you may have that same triggered response as if you're being chased in the wild, when you're just being presented with regular life stresses such as a deadline, work, your kids, or maybe relationship problems, or anything that triggers you to just feel overwhelmed and anxious. Your body naturally goes into that fight or flight mode, and that is really not normal. It's not natural for you to behave like that all the time. We have to understand that the fight or flight mode is necessary to protect us when there is a real danger, when there is a real life-threatening issue. But we do not need to be living on edge every single day of our lives. We do not need to be awaiting for doom or something bad to happen. We do not need to be stressed out, overwhelmed, burdened, and just feeling constantly on go, because that is not a healthy state. Your nervous system is not regulated, and you are not able to be open and receive the blessings that comes from resting in your femininity when you are constantly in that state. So now that we understand why we may be programmed that way, now we can rewire it and we can reprogram our bodies to be at ease. So here are a few signs that you are in survival mode. A big one is that you always feel like you have to hustle and prove yourself. You are always overworked. You are always trying to accomplish something. You literally are just constantly on go and running like a rat race. You struggle to trust other people and surrender or ask for help. You feel constantly exhausted, but you do not slow down. Like, you know you feel burned out, but you struggle to slow down and release control. Like, you always feel like you have to be in control of how things play out. Another one is hyper independence, and also overanalyzing things. Like, if you just feel like you're in a constant state of worry and you are expecting the worst to happen, that's another sign. Survival mode can be sneaky because sometimes people are existing like this 24/7. So you may not even think that it's anything wrong with that because you're used to being in that mode. But the truth is that that is not where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to feel safe. You're supposed to be able to rest and experience life. And that mode is supposed to be only for danger. You're safe now. You're safe. You've always been safe, but your body just didn't feel it. So we're going to help ourselves feel safe and trick our bodies to always feel safe, even if we are pressed with a difficult situation. I have also struggled with anxiety for a while, also feeling like I was in survival mode, and everything changed for me when I started doing the inner work. I can tell y'all 100 tips to be more feminine, to feel more feminine. But at the end of the day, if you don't do a change within the inside, you're not going to see it reflect on the outside. Inner work starts within. Femininity starts within. Feminine energy thrives when you feel safe, when you feel at ease. So you have to cultivate that environment for yourself before it will feel natural for you to operate as a woman that's connected to her feminine energy. So the first thing that I did to heal my nervous system was to face myself, to go inward and look at what was keeping me stuck in survival mode. And this will be so transformative when you connect to the root of the problem. So what I like to do was envision my younger self, your inner child. Think about when you were a child, what did you experience that made you feel insecure, that made you feel anxious, worried, neglected, abandoned? Like, these are just examples. Hurt, confused. Like, we all have wounds as children, most of us, because nobody grew up in like a perfect dynamic. So you may have had some things that you've experienced in your childhood. If it wasn't from your household or your parents or, you know, the place that you grew up in, then it could have also happened at school. It could have been with you being in an environment that wasn't nurturing to your development. Maybe you have been bullied. Maybe you've had narcissistic people in your life. Like, there's so many different things that could have transpired, but I want you to connect to that part of yourself that may have felt left out or hurt or just something. What was that feeling? You have to connect deeper to the root of the problem to really bring it out. Now, this can be very emotional, connecting to your inner child, but it is so worth it. When you connect to your inner child, you are basically providing yourself with the love or reassurance or compassion that maybe you felt like you didn't receive when you were younger. And at this point in your life, you are responsible for giving yourself what you need. Your parents probably did the best that they could. The people around you, they are probably treating you based on how they view themselves. So ultimately, when you get to a certain age, you are responsible for reparenting yourself. You are responsible for healing yourself. Other people cannot do it for you, and you can't live your life in resentment on how people of the past may have treated you, or their lack of, or what they didn't do, or what they may not have had the capacity to do. You have to be that parent or friend to yourself, your younger self. And what I like to do is journal to my younger self. Like, write a letter to your younger self. Imagine maybe a traumatic experience or a time where you felt alone, and think of what did you need to hear during that time. What did you want to hear? And give it to yourself. Write it down. Imagine that you are there with yourself now. Like, even meditations, inner child meditations are so good for this. Like, you can look up on YouTube inner child meditations, or you can set the scene for yourself, like maybe play some relaxing music. And if you're good at visualizing, you can imagine that you are with your younger self and you're there as a guide to talk to them. That's really helpful as well. But I would say journaling is really powerful, and put a picture with the journal, like a picture of your younger self, and then write to it. Like, envision that you're talking to yourself. Giving yourself the space to express yourself is so important. So even if you're not doing inner child healing, maybe you'll just be healing where you are now. Like, if you feel like you're stressed out right now and you don't feel like it's connected to anything of the past, like it's a current stressor, journal about it, write it down, process how you feel, and relax. Like, give yourself the space to shut off the outside world and go within and only think about what you currently have on your mind and on your heart. Write it down, pray about it, meditate on it, and just cultivate this safe space for yourself every single day. I want you to wind down and reflect on your day, where you are now mentally. And I do challenge you to think about the past when you're doing this, because whether we believe it or not, a lot of our present triggers are connected to our childhood. It really is. And whether that may be when you were a little child or it could be a teenager. But a lot of things that trigger us now started when we were younger. So some other inner work practices will be affirmations. I encourage you to start repeating daily affirmations and writing positive things down about yourself, because your internal dialogue is shaping the way that you show up in the real world. I always can tell when someone talks down to their self or when they say mean things to themselves, because that's usually what they project. If you ever met someone who says rude things when they're mad or they're very critical, then they're usually very critical on themselves, and they're talking bad about themselves whenever they make a mistake or whenever they're struggling with something, because we're walking projections. So you want to always make sure that you are projecting love and light and positivity. And the only way you can do that is if you're giving it to yourself. So it's really been transformative for me to constantly say good things about myself and positive things and repeat it. And you can also play some on YouTube as well when you're going to sleep, or you can record yourself. Another thing I think is cool is like if you were to record yourself saying these things, because it's in your voice, and when you go to sleep you can fall asleep listening to these positive affirmations. Because the thing about your mind, when you're sleepy, you go into this state where your subconscious mind is very impressionable. So you want to make sure that you're giving yourself the positive affirmations to penetrate your subconscious mind, so that when you operate, when you're awake, you are operating from a place of love, joy, peace, and safety. And if you don't provide that safe space for yourself, then you can't provide it for anyone else. And your feminine energy is going to be so suppressed if you do not feel safe. So it is imperative to do these things to cultivate an inner safe space. Everything you present on the outside is a reflection of what's going on in the inside. And to go along with that, you need to give yourself grace. Like, you are human. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. You have to remind yourself that daily. Do not tear yourself apart when you make a mistake or when you backslide or you do things that you're not proud of. That self-compassion is really going to shift your nervous system. I also recommend therapy. Therapy was so good for me. Like, I stayed in it for about 2 years, and eventually I felt like I had enough tools and understanding to kind of continue the journey on my own. But therapy is going to be so good. Like, it's going to help you talk to someone who's experienced in these things and have done the work and read the science behind how these things impact your mind and your body. So I definitely recommend therapy. I am not one of those who are anti-therapy. I love therapy. And also coaches. Like, I do think that mental health coaches, inner work coaches, feminine energy coaches, I do think that those type of works are so pivotal and transformative for people on their healing journey. The next thing that I want to emphasize is setting boundaries. Setting boundaries and letting go of people who make you feel unsafe is going to really help your nervous system so much. A lot of times we feel stressed out and overwhelmed because we're in people-pleasing mode. You do not have to say yes when you don't feel like it. If you cannot take it, if you have too much on your plate, you need to say no. This is an act of self-care. Like, you really have to start evaluating how does your body feel and doing things that align with your body. Do not stress yourself out trying to overcompensate for others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You just cannot. If you are in a toxic relationship, or you have toxic family dynamics or friendships, you have to let those go. If you want to get out of survival mode, you have to set boundaries around those relationships. If you cannot leave, like let's say if you live with the person or you have a child with the person, maybe you cannot cut them out of your life for good, but you have to set boundaries to protect your peace, and you have to leave them alone. You have to get out of those situations, because those are not contributing to the growth and the health of your body and your mind and your femininity. You are always going to feel on edge and in survival mode when you are in toxic dynamics or when you're in situations that are not serving you. It is so important for you to release those things, because the amount of peace and just relaxation and relief that comes from letting things that are not serving you go, the amount of that comes in, it really allows you to rest and be in a calm state. A lot of times we are addicted to stress. Like, our bodies are so programmed to be stressed out, to be overwhelmed, to be insecure, that we will stay in situations that are not serving us just to feel that. Your body is going to stay where it's not supposed to be until you create a new belief within yourself that you deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel free. You deserve to feel rested. And in order to confirm that belief, you have to get out of these things that are not adding to your safety. You have to get out of those things that are taking away from your peace. Your peace is the most important thing that you have in this world. You have to protect it at all costs. So now that we've talked about the inner work and setting boundaries, let's get into the nurturing rituals that's going to help you heal and also reconnect with your feminine energy. So I want you to start prioritizing rest and leisure into your day today. I do not want you to be overwhelmed and burdened and overworked. You need to prioritize rest if you're going to heal out of survival mode. Maybe you need to set aside time each day to just be in your own energy and relax and calm down, whether that's drinking some tea, whether that's setting a time to journal, whether you're just taking a walk outside and enjoying the sunlight. I need you to rest and relax. And don't feel guilty for needing time to yourself. Don't feel guilty for resting. I know, like, a lot of moms, they share with me that they have like the mom guilt, like they cannot take the time out, but you have to be able to rest, to pour into yourself so you can give your child the best version of yourself. It doesn't serve anyone for you to be overwhelmed and exhausted and burdened. You have to rest. And you need to have a day every week that is dedicated to your rest. All women in all spiritual paths are welcome in my community, but I am Christian and the Sabbath really speaks to me because it is a day for rest, and it allows me to just spend time with my Creator and not worry about work, not worry about business or goals or anything. I can simply just exist and spend that time cultivating a deeper relationship with God and, you know, connecting deeper to myself and not have to worry about the stress of the world. Even God took a day to rest, and he did that to show us that rest was necessary for our existence. Like, we have to rest. We cannot be on go all the time. So I want you all to prioritize rest and leisure, and I want you to also reconnect with your body. Connecting to your body is going to be so important for your healing, for your feminine energy to thrive. You have to connect with your body and give your body what it needs when it's exhausted, when it's burnt out. You want to take care of your body. You want to fuel your body with nutritious foods that helps you stay energized and also stay calm, like fruits and vegetables. Those are really good for regulating your nervous system. You're going to want to move your body. Stretching, dancing, Pilates, exercise, these things help your body feel good. And it's good for your body to feel relaxed and to release the stress. And it's also a practice, like moving your hips is known for releasing stored trauma. Like there's a lot of trauma that sits in our hips. So I love dancing, especially sensual dancing, because that allows me to really connect to my divine feminine energy. Is, you know, being sexy and sensual. Like those type of dance moves are really good, believe it or not, for healing your nervous system, because there's trauma that's stored in your hips. And that's why, like in yoga and things like that, they prioritize like pelvic movements. I also like to do hot baths, saunas, massages. Those are very relaxing, calming, and nurturing to my energy, my body, and my well-being. Another thing I used to do when I first started connecting to my feminine energy is grounding, like outside in the grass, walking barefoot. I used to love to do that. Like it made me feel so connected with nature. It made me feel so at ease. And I would think about, as I plant my feet on the ground, I'm releasing my trauma and my stress into the earth. And it was just, it's beautiful. Like I feel like that really helps you calm down. And it's actually scientifically proven that when you walk bare feet on the ground, you release stress. So that's a really, really good one. I would do it more, but I live in the city. Like I live in Miami now, and I don't have like my own yard or anything. So it's like dog poop everywhere. I don't really like to do it. But if you do have a way like to do that, I would definitely incorporate that in your routine as you're healing your nervous system and connecting to your feminine energy. Last but not least, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, that the spiritual connection with the divine really allowed me to heal my nervous system, because I would constantly pray for healing and giving my burdens to God, and it allowed me to not have to worry about it, because I know that I have divine protection and intervention. So I would let go of control. And no matter what spiritual path that you're on or what you believe in, the concept of letting go control is really going to help you rest your nervous system, because control is really, really not natural for us. Like there's really nothing in this life that we can control besides ourselves and our own decisions and the way that we think. Sometimes you may not feel you have control over the way that you think, because things have been so repetitive and habitual for you. But you do have control over yourself and your thoughts. That is the one thing you do have control over. So I would recommend that you release control and allow yourself to open up and be free of the pressures and the demands of life, and give them to God, give them to a higher power. Let them go. Let them go, and trust in divine timing. Trust that everything that's meant for you is coming to you at the time where you need it. Everything you desire is already yours. It's unfolding in divine timing. And the more that I rested in that truth, the more at peace that I felt. And it really, really allowed me to be more calm, because I understand that all things are working for my good, and it's not my responsibility to predict the outcomes of everything. And as a natural byproduct, it helped my feminine energy just thrive, because that's like the core of feminine energy, is resting and receiving. So I also wanted to share with you all some book recommendations that were very transformative on my journey. I believe these will really help you heal your nervous system and just understand why things are the way they are for you. I would say Attached is a big one. It is by Amir Levine. I read this book while I was in a toxic relationship actually, and it helped me so much to understand why I felt the way that I felt and maybe why this person was showing up the way they were. And it helps you to see like those childhood dynamics, how it impacts the way that you attach to other people, whether that's in relationships, friendships, whatever. Like, it's so important. Either you have an insecure attachment style or you have a secure one, but there are 3 insecure attachment styles, and that is the anxious attachment, avoidant, or the disorganized, which is a mix of both. And if you're not either of those 3, then you must have a secure attachment, which is perfect. We all want to get to a securely attached place because that is the place in which you feel the safest and where your femininity can thrive. So this book helped me figure out where I was, what I needed to work on, and now I have a secure attachment style. And it's just so beautiful because I worked through this in therapy, as well as just my own feminine energy journey has allowed me to heal that attachment style, and I'm here to help you all with that as well. So I'm probably going to make a video specifically about healing your attachment style, but there's plenty of resources here on YouTube because I didn't really get into that too deep in this video, but it is very important. So that will also kind of align with the inner work that we talked about earlier. The other book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Oh my God, that book is so freaking good. And it really helps you understand where you are and where you need to shift and why you've been stuck in the same cycles over and over and over again. And the main issue is survival mode. So I really love that book because it really highlighted it for me. This other book called The Body Keeps the Score also talks about how trauma is sneaky and it stays in our body for a long time. So this is why it's important to release it and to heal your nervous system and heal your body and pay attention to what your body needs, because these things will be trapped for a very long time. And that is by Bessel van der Kolk. So those are some of my favorites. We're gonna wrap up this topic, y'all. I hope that this video resonated well with you all and you're able to implement these tips into your life, because I promise it is going to be so transformative. And a lot of my girls that were on my TikTok were commenting, I can't seem to rest, I can't seem to relax. And I was like, this is the reason. Like, it's because we're in survival mode. And once that clicked for me, all of the other things became so easy, because your feminine energy is innate, it's natural, but there are things in your life that usually suppresses it, and one of those things are you being in survival mode. So I really want all of my girls to experience the peace and ease that life has to offer when they are able to tap in and heal those wounds. So I'm excited to see, you know, how these things impact y'all life. I do have other forms of content on TikTok. That's probably where I post the most, but I'm going to be more consistent on YouTube. Also, my course is live right now, where we unpack these things in a more deep, nurturing environment with a group of women, all of us together, just healing and growing in our femininity. Is such a beautiful process. And of course, I also do one-on-one coaching. So you guys let me know what you need, what type of topics you want me to unpack, because I'm here to give you everything I got. So sending you lots of love and peace on your new journey.